Mr. Atheist, you are live with Eric and Jamie. How's it going, my man?
What is up, guys? Hey, I just want to say, first of all, I love this show. I've been watching it for about 40 years. Anderson Cooper is definitely my favorite host. What?
40 years.
Oh, my
favorite host,
hang on,
right? Because it rotates.
Am I? Is this not CNN? Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
God. Everybody else is watching. If you haven't checked out Mr. Atheist on YouTube, check out Mr. Atheist. He's freaking hilarious.
Oh.
All right, go ahead, man.
Thank you, guys. And not to shamelessly plug, but EJ's on a couple of upcoming episodes of Dear Mr. Atheist.
So, are you poaching our guests?
I wrote...
You and I are going to have some interesting messages exchanged, punk.
Okay, go ahead.
Afterwards.
If that happens, then I'm going to share the other interesting messages we've exchanged. Anyway.
That's blackmail.
It's mutually assured destruction is what it is. All right. What is it that you want to bring up?
Truth. So I wrote down my question. Don't worry. It's only a page. That's another joke.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I'm preparing for an upcoming episode of Dear Mr. Atheist, and I decided to debate with a Mormon. And one of the questions they asked me, while I did, I think, answer it sufficiently, I suspect one or both of you will have a better answer than I gave.
Okay, hold on.
Not that I gave a bad answer, but I gave a bad one.
Okay, you're an ex-Mormon, right?
I am an ex-Mormon.
Okay, you have way too much confidence in us. We will try.
No, this is not relevant. This is relevant to atheism, not just... So let me give you the 2-second backstory. The guy, I'm past 2 seconds already. No, so the guy basically was making the case that atheists have less credibility to take on Mormonism than like a Baptist would. So even the fact that I used to be a Mormon, I still had less credibility than someone else who at least believes in God. So the actual assertion he made, I know, the actual assertion he made was that he can't prove the existence of God to me any more than I can prove color to a blind man. So I would like to hear your version of what you would do to handle that assertion.
That's rather
And remember, if you say satellites or orbital mechanics, that's completely ridiculous. There are no satellites. That's bull crap.
Mr. Atheist, you are...
We can...
Go on, Jamie.
You can talk about the fundamental physics of the universe and how that works and what photons are and how they're perceived by humans specifically as photons strike the eye and the retina, blah, 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 and talk about how different wavelengths and frequencies of light waves are perceived differently, and that is what we experience as color. And you can do everything to explain color to a person who is blind except for literally show it to them. And that's the only difference. And pointing out that that's not the way that we know many of the things that we know is a good reason. I believe that Australia exists despite never having been there and not having seen it from space.
Yeah,
and you can explain it to me whether I'm blind or not.
Well, and to be honest, you can go your entire life without understanding color and be fine, right?
Or visiting Australia.
But if you're talking about the existence of an omnipotent, all-powerful, all-loving, all-present God that put you here with a purpose and will torment you, well, actually, Mormons don't believe in that. Well, outer darkness, but that's hard to get to. The telestial, the low-rent heaven, right? That's where you're going to wind up.
The slums of heaven.
Right? Either way.
Well, the celestial kingdom, for the record, isn't the end-all there. So Mormonism, their worst version of hell is basically you get isolated by yourself for an eternity. Not even Mormons are aware that is the so outer darkness is a little different.
Hold on. Is it terrestrial? Is that the one? And then telestial, celestial?
Celestial is bottom, terrestrial is middle, and then celestial is top. And then remember that within each of those, there are also levels.
Nice. This is like a multi-level marketing scheme. I love it. Right? You got to get people more.
Which Mormons are really good at.
Yes, they are. Yeah. Okay. So
when in the Lord of the Rings, when there were different gods creating stuff. No, sorry.
Yeah, so when when you're talking to somebody about that, you need to impress upon them the importance of, if they're right, it's a really big deal. If there's no color to somebody who's never going to see color, that's not going to affect them in the same way that, I mean, so Hitchens' razor is that which can be asserted
without evidence, can be dismissed without evidence.
And that is really where that is. You really need to be able to say, hey, you're asserting something, and it's a really big deal. You need to come up with a whole lot of evidence. You need to come up with a whole lot of proof, way more proof. It's a false equivalency.
Yeah.
You need to come up with way more to show that there's a God and that there's
excuse.
color.
Well, I can't explain this to you because you're basically the equivalent of blindness. Yeah. So I don't have to do anything.
I think if I was having a conversation again, like we all do, where we think about like that thing we could have
wisdom of the stairs,
and we're like, ah, damn it. Yeah. So I think my response was similar to Jamie's. My very first response was, I could prove color exists to a blind man, just like I can prove to you that infrared and ultraviolet exist, even though you can't see either of them. And then I gave a very long experiment one could do to explain this away. I think if I was going back, I would then want to question, like, what you've just said, though, is a very direct, I have a sense that you don't. Apparently, you didn't watch my episode that was all about how Mormonism is the same as narcissism, just with extra steps. So I think I would probably try and bring up what is this sense you have that I haven't, and how can you demonstrate that the feelings of confirmation I felt from the Holy Ghost that I now realize were myself are any different than the feelings you're having now and attributing to a higher power? So I did want to hear your guys' take. It was not completely ridiculous. I hope the audience understands that that's me making fun of Victor right now, but maybe they don't. Is my impression not as good as I thought it was?
No, it is in general, but you didn't lean into it.
You got to do the New York.
Yeah.
But I was from Chicago.
That's not real. It's completely ridiculous. Yeah.
Brooklyn.
No, he's Brooklyn. He's Brooklyn. My family's all New York and England, and I've met a million Victors. Just none of the ones that don't believe the Earth is round.
Wait, there are other people you know that don't believe the Earth is round, or just?
No, I'm saying I've met a million Brooklyn Victors who talk like him, use the phrase completely ridiculous to talk about everything. However, they all believe the Earth is round. That's the main difference between Victor and he. Yeah. But anyway, thanks guys for chatting with me.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to. I was trying to think up something embarrassing, and the best I have is like maybe I could direct Eric in a Costanza-style boudoir shoot. I don't know, maybe something like that.
We'd have to be in the same place at the same time. You're gonna fly to
Austin? Why do we need to take my clothes? No, actually, I
mean, not for that reason, but whatever.
Mr. Atheist, you take care. It's good talking to you, brother.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
For the last 30 years.
Last 30. It was 40 earlier.
Why a boudoir shot? Nobody wants to see me in lace. That's not a good look for me.
We'll figure something out. The more you dwell on it, the more likely they are to suggest it in comments.
All right, how about we do the last 3 rapid fire?